Yesterday's history. Tomorrow's a mystery. Today's a gift. And we've got a great one for you on this morning's Carolina People. Coming up next. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Waccamaw Community Foundation on South Highway 17 Business in Murrells Inlet. We're focused on living legends, and we're visiting with just one of those, the famous Maurice Williams. Good morning, Maurice.
Good morning.
Maurice Williams
Greg.
and the Zodiacs.
Yes, my pleasure.
What an exciting time to get you in. Of course, this close to Christmas.
Yes.
With the big Christmas
right
CD out
here.
now in stores, Walmart, everywhere, all over the place.
The DVD.
The DVD, excuse me, forgive me. So
But the CD also, both out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hot time right now. And to think of the world's largest retailer
Yes.
coming to you, not the other way around, but coming to you, Maurice. Can we please get a piece
That's amazing. That's quite a blessing.
Could you have ever thought of that 50
No.
years ago?
No.
I mean, could you have ever thought about it even 30 years ago? In the early stages of... it is amazing to think about.
Beautiful. It's wonderful.
Fred Shaw, who was with you last week when I saw you all, obviously had highlighted that not only Walmart but also Best Buy, as well as BradleyHouseMusic.com, a lot of great places to pick up CDs. With Christmas just a few days away, it's
exactly right.
CDs and DVDs. Y'all are celebrating 50 years now.
Yes, we are. Zodiacs, 50 years. Or Gladiolos, Zodiacs, 50 years.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Actually, it's been over 50 years, but we don't.
Since you've been performing, that's right. Yeah,
Yes, definitely.
And of course, you're a Palmetto State native.
Amen.
Albeit deep ties in the Tar Heel State now, right?
Yes, I take back my taxes there. Yeah, but Lancaster is my hometown. That's where I was born.
Do you still have any family in Lancaster?
Yes, I do.
You do.
I have a sister there.
Is that right?
And quite a few nieces and nephews.
I'm sure.
Yes. Yes.
And to think about those early years there in Lancaster, and obviously reading about the experiences for you, so many influences there in Lancaster to help open the doors for you. Do you still have vivid memories of that, Maurice?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes, definitely. Thank God that He blessed me to be a writer, because my imagination and my memory is so good. It's very vivid, and I can really see things and visualize stuff and remember it very well.
So when you are visualizing, do you also kind of see ahead or get an idea of what it's going to be like when you perform a song, for instance? I mean, can you see how it'll jive with the rest of the band?
Now I can.
Right.
Now I can.
Right.
Because I know what we can do. And I like to make a song, as I said, I'm making a song your song. Make it your own. Live with it and let it become you. Let it become a part of you and live with it, because the audience can really feel this.
Right.
And it's like, from me to you, the audience.
Right.
And they can feel that.
Yeah.
When the song is yours. You're not just up there throwing out lyrics and stuff like that. You actually feeling this song as though you lived it. That's what you're talking about. And that's what I love to do. Give it to the musicians.
I remember when we were filming in Florence a couple of years ago up there at Francis Marion University, and to hear you talk about, there was an incident, of course, where you go from performing to a huge crowd and everyone into the music to not long thereafter being in a small place down in, I believe, Louisiana, somewhere where there was virtually no one there, but you still made that effort to perform at the exact same level as if you were performing to a giant crowd.
Yes, and you learn that. I learned that at the Apollo Theater back in the early 60s when we performed there. Because you perform at the Apollo, the lights were on you, Greg, and you did not see an audience. As far as you were concerned, you didn't have an audience. So you learn how to perform with just you, and hopefully somebody was out there, because you didn't see them. The lights are on you, and you didn't see an audience. And so you learn how to perform. You do your best
Right.
with no one, and you do the same best if there are a billion people there. You do the same best show you can do.
I don't know. How can you get that adrenaline pumping? I mean, how can
do it?
You just
do
force
it.
yourself? Yeah.
Comes a party, and you imagine you always got in your mind that, man, this place is jam packed.
It's back. It's back.
You're gonna do your best.
Yeah.
You know, and now you learn that, and then it's pretty much easy then.
Wow.
Pretty much easy.
That is fascinating. No wonder I said we're kicking off. We're talking about living legends. We were together another time, obviously, there in the studio when we had another then living legend, Mickey Spillane, with us. I think that week or the week before. And when you think about living legends, you oftentimes think back to your youth and what spurned it. Would you share with viewers, Maurice, if you will, what it was in an early stage that opened the doors for you to...
Well, I wanted to do this all my life, and I went from the church choir to the high school glee club in Lancaster. And the glee club, Mr. Sample, our musical director, suggested that we form a pop group and sing and play. She said, well, since you guys are musicians also, you're in the high school band, and you're very good singers, so you can sing and play. So I played piano and played then, and the piano and the trombone.
And the trombone.
And she said, you get a group where you accomplish yourself. You know, you play with yourself, play by yourself. And so, okay. And so we did that with her suggestion. And so we immediately started playing high school proms.
High school proms?
Yeah. We started doing that. And then we had it was a talent show at Lancaster High School. And which back then it was a white high school, so we won that talent show. We won it.
So you weren't you weren't a student there at the high school.
No.
You just came to perform there. Yeah.
Yeah, we performed there for the talent show.
Right.
And we won that, and there were some students there from fraternity at the University of South Carolina.
Right.
And they saw us, and they got us to perform at their fraternity. And so we started performing at their fraternity in South Carolina, Columbia.
Right.
And then went from there to the University of Georgia, from there to Texas and Tennessee and all over the place. And then we went to Nashville.
Performing for fraternities all over the country.
Yes, we started doing that. And then we went to Nashville. And I had heard on the radio all these songs, and I said, well, we can sing that stuff. We can do that. So I called Nashville Records and spoke with Mr. Ernie Young.
Ernie Young, yeah.
At Nashville Records. And he said, well, if you guys are ever over in the area, come by and audition. So we got a job over there, and we went by to audition for him. And he liked the song that I wrote called Little Darling.
Called Little Darling, yeah.
So we performed that. That was in the winter of 56.
Now, were you the lead singer in the band then? Were you?
Well, no, I really wasn't. I had another guy singing lead named William Massey.
William Massey.
My buddy.
And
he was the lead singer.
He didn't perform then?
No, not in Nashville, because his mother wouldn't let him go.
Oh, come on.
Like, I'm 16.
Right.
When we went over. And we were all young, but I was the youngest. So, and she could not conceive the idea of us going over there and doing any good.
You and William and the rest of the
rest of the guys, right.
Yeah.
And so I had wrote Little Darling for him to sing. So when we got there, and he wasn't there, we performed all the songs that the guys were singing, and I was more of their director and all that.
Right.
And didn't sing, but I wrote the songs, and I got the guys said, well, you ought to sing Little Darling for them. Since you wrote it, so you can sing it, you know. And so that's where Little Darling came about.
Oh, come on.
I sung that myself.
You've written that for William Massey.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't go on the trip because his mother wouldn't let him.
Wouldn't let him go. And I sang it for Ernie Young.
Right.
And he liked it. And he came back and said, well, let's chop the lyric a little bit and make it a calypso type. And I said, okay. Huh. And I came up with the idea of the castanets on the very intro.
Right there on the spot?
Mm-hmm. That part. And then the cowbell coming in, tack, 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 tack. And then coming with the thrill on the keyboards, you know. and yeah, that part.
Right
And
on
come
the
with it.
spot, Maurice.
Did it right there.
Yeah.
It wasn't it wasn't free range.
Yeah.
Because I had at home, Greg, I had a little drawing going almost like a ballad. It was like, oh little darling, boom boom, boom, boom boom, boom, little darling, like that. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, where are you? So he said, well, let's pick the tempo up and make it calypso type, and speed the tempo up and chop your lyrics,
right,
and see what we'll come up with. So I came up with that on the spot, and it came out to be what it came out to be, and it's history now.
Wow.
Yeah,
and it is history.
Yeah, and the Diamonds.
It really is. 50 years later, the Diamonds picked it up.
The Diamonds picked it up that spring. That spring it became it.
Right.
Yeah, they picked it up the spring, and that summer it was a hit for the Diamonds.
Right.
Yeah.
And it stayed on the top of the charts all summer long.
Yes.
I think I remember reading.
Yeah, and it would have made #1, Don't Be for Elvis.
If it wasn't for Elvis.
It wasn't for Elvis. Elvis would not move with the song he had on the charts, which was #1.
Right.
Little Darling hung right there at #2 by the Diamonds.
Right.
And wouldn't move. Elvis wouldn't move, and it couldn't go any further than #2.
I'm sure you don't mind.
We said that dang Elvis.
Yeah.
No, we don't mind. We'd be #2.
Oh, yeah.
That's better than nothing.
That's right.
So it was #2, and everybody thought it was #1, but it's like #1.
Ernie Young, he just knew. I mean, did he know he was that in tune? Of course, y'all are coming over from Lancaster. Y'all are teenagers.
Yeah.
I mean, he was that in tune with what America would love.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
He was that. So he really. Obviously, there were so many early influences from you from age 5 on to that point to 16. But him there, knowing what would actually go national, international.
Yes. Definitely.
That's amazing.
He saw it. He saw the dream. And he told me, he said, now my label is a local label. I only have distribution in the Southeast.
Right.
He said, but if you let the Diamonds do your song, he said, you'll become a national, international writer because of the Diamonds. And I said, sure. And we decided to let the Diamonds do Little Darling. Because back then, you had to get permission from the songwriter and the publisher. And he'd be the publisher, and I was a writer.
Right.
So we let them do it. And everything he said came true. So right away at 16, he started teaching me about publishing. And I said, wow. So I started learning about publishing when I was at the age of 16, Greg. 16, I turned 17, the spring of '57.
I imagine there were a ton of publishers then who would have loved to just taken your stuff
I
and
would
run
have gave
with
it to him. I would have gave it to him. I would have gave it to him.
Yeah.
I would say, because all we wanted to do was make a record.
Yeah.
I didn't know nothing about royalties
yeah.
and nothing like. I didn't know at 16. Are you kidding?
Right.
No, I didn't know. So I'd have been. We just wanted to make a record, but he didn't do that. He was into Christ. He was a holy.
He was a
Christian man, and thank God, because he started rather than take.
Right.
He started teaching me about. He said, whatever you do, don't ever sell your songs. He said, don't ever sell your songs because you never know what you got.
Wow.
So that stayed with me all these years and still is in my age today. So he started teaching me about songwriting and the royalties and publishing.
Right.
Which I learned very well. And thank God now I have my own publishing company and all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It all came to pass.
Truly, Maurice.
Thanks to him.
Well, we think the two names, I mean, folks have got to wonder, what happened to William Massey there? I mean,
well,
he's a
not
Catholic.
Shown up.
Yeah.
He's a Catholic. He's a Catholic minister now.
Right.
Up in what is it? It's Canada.
Okay.
In Canada.
So he did just fine.
He did fine.
Yeah.
Did fine.
Absolutely. And of course, that idea, when you think about that aspect for Ernie, other than being a Christian, I mean, that desire, there were so many other folks there in Nashville who just would have been taking that music and running with it.
That's exactly
How
right.
about your own parents? How did they, what were their thoughts, your family thoughts about you being over in Nashville and learning the ropes over there as opposed to coming on back to Lancaster?
Well, they wanted me to. My mother wanted me to. My mother encouraged me. to do this, to do the whole music thing.
Right.
She encouraged me. She was always with me.
Really?
She always believed in me, and she always told me, you can do it.
Wow.
But I want you to do it right, because it is a serious business.
Oh, yeah.
She taught me that, and she read to me from the Bible, and she taught me all the good things. And she stayed with me, and my aunt was the same way. My Aunt Inez.
Aunt Inez,
The same way they
yes.
stayed with me and encouraged me when I was a youngster, even before I went to Nashville.
Right, right.
They encouraged me to stay with the business, kept me in church, which I stayed, kept me in school, taught me the finer things of life, and the education and the business, and to stay with it, stay with the music, no matter what. They stayed behind.
Right.
And with them behind me, I couldn't go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
They let me rehearse right there at home.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. We had a piano, and I could bring the whole band in and rehearse right there in my home.
Wow.
And we did all that, and they was with me all the way.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they loved
this
it.
confluence of a family supporting,
Yes.
meeting a Christian producer there who would open the doors for you.
That's
this
amazing.
just doesn't happen. I mean,
It don't happen.
It didn't
It don't.
happen in the mid-50s then. As
No,
you
it really didn't. It really didn't. And I tell you, especially me, a little black guy
Right.
that didn't know anything,
Yeah.
he started teaching me right then in the 50s. That happened. Oh, yeah, it happened.
Was Ernie a black guy?
No,
was a white
Ernest
guy,
white
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
He's a white guy. And he
Even
started
more,
teaching me.
even more
Yeah, that's what I'm
impressive.
saying.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what
yeah,
I'm saying,
exactly.
yeah.
I mean, you highlighted earlier that Lancaster High School was a white high school. I mean, so there were clearly differences, some
In the
stark
right.
differences in the country and,
Yeah.
and in the South
This was
at that
56.
time. Another big reason why Ernie.
It don't happen. It didn't happen then. Look at Little Richard.
Yeah.
He tell you in a heartbeat. He say, they stole my song. Because they didn't steal them.
Right.
Richard gave them away. He sold them.
Sold them.
He sold them. And then I think he got most of them back, thank God. Today, as a matter of fact, I know he did. But in the beginning, they didn't steal. He sold them. But they did take a lot of stuff from guys back then. So we were blessed. We were very
You
blessed.
also had a sister, and I know, and I'm sorry to
Sure.
say, I think you shared earlier that she'd passed away
passed
recently, who was very supportive and who was a
Carol.
pianist.
She's a classical pianist. Carol was. And she taught in the Lancaster school system. She taught school there and the choir and everything. And she was inspirational in helping me with my piano work and everything. And she wanted me to be a classical pianist. I say no. No. Because I heard Chatterloon all day long. You know, all day long. One piece of music. She would practice Greg all day long. I said, no, I can't do that. I heard Pastor Domino going, I said, that's me there.
Right.
I can do about 10 of them in one day while you still learning one song.
Same one, yeah.
So, but she taught me a lot of chords. And
Right.
my uncle taught me a lot of jazz chords. And between them and Fats Domino and Lord Price and all the guys, I learned how to do that piano thing.
I'm
write
glad
my
you
songs.
mentioned Fats Domino. He was a big inspiration, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Was he one of the biggest, other than your family, and then of course Ernie Young? Who were at that time real big
Fats
inspirations?
Domino was.
Really? Yeah.
Fats Domino was, and Ray Charles.
Ray Charles. Yes,
Definitely.
Yes. Yeah.
I think those two, and then Billy Ward and the Dominoes came, along. And very inspirational, but when it comes to the piano, Fats Domino was a man.
Right.
Because there's three chords, three little chords. That's what I do. That's what I write by. So what he played sounded so simple. Fats could play something, man, and I got it in a minute. I got it
Really?
like that.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
problem. Yeah, I picked that right straight up. It's so simple.
Oh yeah.
So simple. And then the songs they came along like In the Still of the Night, the Five Satin, do 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 shooby doo boom boom choo. To me, that stuff was so simple.
Now, yeah, did it stay so simple so that it'd be
Yes.
popular to America?
It did.
Right. I mean, was that
It
part
did.
of it? Yeah.
Yes. The simplicity of the song is why they are still around today. Neil Diamond once said, no matter what, no matter how much, how complicated the arrangement
Right.
is, the lyric, the melody, simple.
Right.
Or an average man in the street can sing it melody. You can have strings, all the strings in the world, but the melody is simple. You got it going.
In my barber shop the other day, hearing him talk as some Christmas music was piping in about how 50 years from now this Tony Bennett song would be equally popular.
Sure.
Wherein oftentimes some of the really big artists now, you may not remember them. Maurice Williams is as popular today as when you were writing that, and obviously it was being performed, even getting stuck there at number 2. But
right.
I mean, you've possibly even more popular
today. Yes.
When you've got the world's largest retailer saying, "Maurice,
yes.
we want a piece of that. We want it in here." It's not just online at Walmart.com. It's there in stores. Folks walk in there now, either in Charlotte or in California. I mean, it's amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, fantastic.
I bet it is. You know, as you think back, obviously, all those days, early days of performing. Do you remember the first time you performed? Was it the talent show there in Lancaster, the first big performance?
Yeah, that was the first big one.
Right.
It really was. That was the first big one.
And of course, for you, as you were writing songs, and at that time, essentially directing, and planning on playing the piano and not performing, because you were writing these for William Massey.
I was.
The idea that you would actually move into this position, was that ever intimidating at all to think about becoming the lead guy? Because oftentimes I guess the singer is kind of the front man or woman for a band.
It is indeed. No, once he gave it to me, Ernie Young gave it to me, and I ran with it, and it came out and it was a hit. That's another thing. It was a hit. I had no problem with it. Then later on in my career, James Brown taught me to get from behind the piano, because I used to stand up and play.
Right.
And, I had the audience like this, stand up and play and sing. So James Brown at the Apollo told me, my buddy Brown, may he rest in peace, he said, you need to get from behind the piano, come out front, face the audience like this, and sing. He said, that's what they want. They want you. Not you back here, half of you over here, half of you there. They want all of you this way. He said, like I do. I took him up on it. And it worked.
And it worked.
It worked big time.
It worked.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It worked big time. It's good.
Wow.
For real.
Did you ever perform with James Brown?
Yeah. We worked together for days, for years.
Is that right?
We did a lot of stuff at the Apollo.
Yeah.
And it's true. He was the hardest working man in show business.
Was he really? Yeah.
We had a morning show to do, and then he had the big show, was that 12 o'clock midnight show on a Saturday night. This is when your biggest audience is there.
Right.
But Brown worked as hard on that 11 o'clock morning show as he did on that midnight Saturday night show.
Wow.
And I'm here as a witness. He did. All the splits, he did that
come
in the
on.
morning. Yes, he did.
In the morning, just
Greg,
like
glad did, man. He really did. He'd get out there in the morning, man. He'd come out there and do all that dancing and split, and do the splits on the floor there that time of morning. He did it.
That is amazing.
He was amazing.
Yeah. Like you said, that idea of at the Apollo, the lights are shining so much.
Yeah,
you don't know who's there.
No, you
But at
doing
the same time, if he was performing that way in the morning like he was at midnight,
it didn't matter. He do it.
He obviously was a great encourager for you.
He was. I couldn't dance or nothing like that. But the inspiration and the energy that he brought with him and the way he handled himself, the business, the whole ball game. He was show business. That's right. He was it.
Yeah.
For real.
What years were those, Maurice? Do you remember those critical years that you were performing with him? I mean, obviously,
yeah, it was like
Yeah.
Stay came out in 60. It was in 60, 61,
right,
62.
Right.
That's when it was.
Yeah.
It was going on at the Apollo, man.
To think about Stay, that's the first time that's come out of your mouth, and we've just got a minute left, and obviously we're thrilled that you'll come back and be with us tomorrow.
Oh, man, my pleasure.
Obviously,
my
the
pleasure. I wouldn't miss it for nothing.
Foundation, but the idea of Stay, to think about that in the 80s, getting up to, I think, 8 million records there.
More now.
Yeah, obviously many more now. To think about that, Maurice,
yes.
must
be amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing. It's such a blessing, Greg. God is so good. You know.
Those are great ways to wrap. Thanks so much for being with us
My
this morning. Can't
pleasure.
wait to get you back tomorrow.
I'll be here tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Okay, man. All
Stay
right.
tuned to more Carolina People with Maurice Williams coming up next. what advice would Maurice Williams give to an aspiring artist trying to kick off his career? You got to come back tomorrow to find out what song is he most often asked to perform. Stay tuned. Tomorrow's the big day. Of course, you want to hear about the Doo-Wop Show on educational television. You can hear a little bit about it. We just went 25 minutes, and right there at the end, Stay came out. You got to come back to hear a little more about the exciting opportunities, not only of performing Stay, but performing in London in front of an amazing big crowd. See what it's all about. Come back. Maurice Williams Part 2 tomorrow here on Fox TV.